Hi, welcome to Tyne Valley Motorhomes. I'm Callum and this is the handover video of a hobby Siesta T70GQ. So as we start the walk around on the driver's side of the vehicle first, the first point you get to is your two fridge vents. Just above the door there you do have your awning light and your awning. This is the vent for the boiler, so this gives the location of where the boiler is situated inside the vehicle. So this will allow the gas fumes out when operating on gas. This does operate on an electric as well, but this is more for gas. So when you do have it on gas, just make sure it's obstruction free. There's nothing covering it, so it can vent the fumes out the side of the van. Barbecue point, so we've fitted this wheel barbecue point to the vehicle as it doesn't come with it as standard. So cable tied round the neck of the barbecue point, you do have a quick release connection. So this is what you need to connect into here, and then you put a length of rubber gas hose onto there and some Jubilee clips to connect it all together. One on the Cadec or barbecue, one on this side, and then you'll be able to turn the valve on when this is connected, and it'll use the bottles on board the vehicle instead of carrying a spare to use your barbecue outside. Opening all the locks, you've got two keys. So you've got one habitation key, which is a hobby key, and you've got another habitation key, which is your round-headed key, but your hobby key opens all your locks. On this vehicle you've got a good sized garage, which is situated under your double bed at the back, your French bed. You've got your carpets, your awning winding handle in there, tyre inflation kit, as it doesn't come with a spare wheel. And you've also got in this corner here, this is your boiler drain, this here. So you've got the vent on the outside of the van, gives a location of where the boiler is situated on board. To open it up and allow the water out in the winter, which is very important because you don't want the water to freeze, because if the water did freeze in the boiler, unfortunately, because it's your responsibility to drain the vehicle down, frost damage isn't covered by the warranty company. So what you need to do is, you can manually open it, which is turning it here. The button pops out, and just underneath the van you'll see the water coming out. To stop this, you turn the valve at the top and push the button in. But this is an automatic frost valve. So at 3 degrees, this will automatically push the button out when not in use. So it'll do it for you, but never become 100% reliant on this valve in case it did ever fault over the lifespan of the vehicle. You don't want the water to freeze because it'll be an expensive mistake to make. So I would just manually open it, which is turning the valve, and this button will pop out. However, if you were using it in the winter and you've drained it down and you've then thought, oh, we'll have a quick weekend away, and you can't get the button to stay in, just put the heating on without the water for around 15 to 20 minutes first. This area will get nice and warm, and then just come in and push this button, because this will be still sensing the cold. Other than that, you can use a hairdryer to heat the area and push the button in. So that's closed when the nib is flat and the button's pushed in. If you can't get the button to stay in, this may be in the open position and you have to turn it. But make sure you drain it down, and then open all your taps within the van. Taps with the waste and the fresh outside the van, and just eliminate all the water so nothing can freeze when you're experiencing colder temperatures. On the back of the van you've got your high level brake light, and above that you've got your reversing camera. You've got your Fiamma bike rack. So that just pulls down. Bikes go on the rails here, and then you would clip the wheels on the rail, these through the spokes, tie it down, and these through the crossbars. So the shortest one being the first bike closest to the back panel, and the longest one being the furthest one away from the back panel. And then put some sort of bike lock around your bikes if you are leaving your bikes on unattended, just so that they don't go missing if you pull into a service station or leaving the van on site. This is your gas locker. So I've got my test bottle on here now, which is a 6 kilogram propane gas bottle. And to connect the bottle, it's left to tighten, right to loosen, so opposite ways with it being gas, but you don't need a gas spanner for this one because it's a thumb wheel, so you just hand tighten until it's tight, and then you can turn the cylinder on, making sure that you turn the cylinder off before you start travelling, and always make sure that using the straps, the cylinder is securely fastened in around the top section of the bottle and the bottom, so it's safe, secure, and it can't move when you're travelling down the road. And like I say, make sure it's turned off. Once one bottle's empty, you can disconnect the pigtail, which again is just a thumb wheel, and connect it to the bottle at the back or the bottle at the front, depending on which way you're running it. And then you just exchange your empty bottle for another full. But people normally keep 2 in, as they've got a reserve bottle in case one bottle does go empty. Got some storage in there, so this is a great place to keep your levelling ramps, your hookup leads, things that are wet that you don't want to drag into the motorhome, you can keep in there. To hook the vehicle up, if you were at home and you were charging it over the winter, or a few days before your trip to put your fridge on, or if you're on a site, you get your hookup lead, lift the collar, hook it up here first, then hook the sight up and do it in reverse order when unhooking, along with pushing the blue clip down to safely remove the hookup cable from the motorhome. So this here is your waste water. So this is your dirty water. So you take the cover off, drive to the gully or the grid on the pitch, or as close to the hedge as you can. On some pitches you've just got to dump it in the verge, and then there's a handle further back that you pull towards you, and you'll be able to allow the water out. And then once you finish, just pop your cover back on and close the valve. But what I would do in the winter is leave the valve off, leave the cover off should I say, and leave the valve open, just so that any water's in there can just make its own way out. Cassette toilet. So to use your cassette, you lift the handle up, slide it out. You can then carry it to your waste disposal point, which is normally beside your toilet and shower block. And then to get rid of it, remove the cap, pop that to one side, start to pour the toilet down the disposal point with pressing the yellow button. That was a bit of air and stops the glugging. Pour it out. Once you've poured it out, there's normally a tap there, so you put a little bit of water in, give it a rinse, pour out again, then go in with a capful of chemical, which is 120 ml, which can be blue or green depending on what the site prefers you to use. You've also got in here your fresh water. This is your fresh water drain off point. So in the winter it's very important that you drain your water off. You could also might want to drain your water off if you're taking on a source of contaminated water, or you're simply not using the van for a month or so. You don't want to leave water in there because it will become stagnant. So all you need to do is lift that up, and the water will make its way out of the vehicle. This is your freshwater fill-up point. So this round-headed key is your water key, and the other hobby key is your habitation key for all your locks. So this is a lockable cap. So carry your hose pipe with some hose pipe fittings, because the site normally just provides a brass tap. Connect to the brass tap, flat end of the hose into here, and wait until it overflows, or until you look on board and see how much is on your control panel, indicates how much water is in your tank. To fill the vehicle with fuel, which is diesel, is located at the passenger door. Main Fiat Ducato key locks and unlocks this, so you can fill with fuel. Tyre pressures 5 on the front, which is 72.3 psi, and 5.5 on the back, which is 79.5 for your tyre pressures, with the tyre size there as well. Toolkit is underneath the passenger seat, which includes a jack, a brace, a tow and eye. Underneath the floor in the hatch here, you do have the location of your engine battery. The engine battery lives in there, and your bonnet release is on the side of the dashboard. underneath the bonnet, you've got all your fluids. So you've got your coolant, power steering, screen wash, brake fluid, oil filler, dipstick for checking your levels. And then if you ever need to jump start the vehicle, there is a jump start point. So this is your negative. You just give it a good scrape on there to get a good earth. And this is your positive for giving or receiving a jump start. So just before we climb inside and do the inside of the vehicle, on the driver's seat, should I say, you've got a isolation key. So when storing it, you might want to turn this off, leave the key in, and this just turns the leisure battery off, so you can't get a 12-volt drain off the leisure battery. But you will need to turn it on to use the vehicle. In here you've got your fuse board, so it includes all your fuses. So carry some spare fuses with you, and if the fuse does go, you can replenish the fuse, and you do have your leisure battery there as well. To operate your hobby control panel, so when you get in the van, you'll want to turn on the red button, which is your master switch. This will give you 12 volt off the leisure battery, and if you're hooked up, you'll get mains 230 volt around the van to all 3-pin sockets. So turn it on. And then around the outside, you can turn your 12 volt system on, your outside owner light, and this button, which is for your entertainment system. So that'll turn on the radio in the cab. If it's wired that way, just put all of them on, because that'll do something else as well. It tells you that you're hooked up, it tells you the time, it tells you how much is in your fresh water, and it tells you the charge of the leisure battery. So you've got a picture of a trailer, that's your trailer, your motorhome, and that's your battery level. When it's hooked up, it gives a false reading, so unhook it to get a true reading of the leisure battery, because the charge is involved. You can view the external temperature and the internal temperature. You can view the rate of your leisure battery and your vehicle. So you've got a picture of a truck, picture of a trailer, van battery, motorhome battery, which is the leisure, and you can view your fresh water on there as well. So that's your control panel. That's also connected to this, which is another control board. So it just turns, you can turn it on, and you can turn on the lights throughout the vehicle. So all it is a light switch, and you can select which light you want on in which area and turn which one that you're not using off. So to operate your digital Truma CP control panel, to turn the system on and off, you'd press and hold to turn it off, press it once to turn it on, and it'll come on. And then to get into the menu, you just press it once. You'll notice you've got a thermometer in a van flashing at the top corner. If you press enter, this is how hot you want your vehicle. So you've got all the way off in the summer when you don't want the heating, or you've got all the way to 30 degrees in the winter when it's very cold. So once you're happy, so if we say 27 degrees there, that's how hot I want the inside of the motorhome to be, I'd press enter, and that'll save that at 27 degrees. Now you've got a thermometer in some water. This is how hot you want your water. So if you don't have any water on board, you'd have it on off. 40 degrees for showering, 60 degrees for doing your dishes, but it's entirely up to yourself how hot you want your water. Or you've got boost, which will turn off your heating and prioritize your water first. But for this, we'll just say 60 degrees because we want the heating to run along with the water. Next, you've got what source you're heating the water and the vehicle off. So you've got gas, so make sure your gas bottle's on and it's turned on. You've got mix 1, which is 750 watts of electric and gas. You've got mix 2, which is 1850 watts of electric plus gas. So you'd use mix 2 in the winter. If you're away and it was really cold, use a mix 2 will boost the vehicle up to temperature because you're using both sources together. Then you can turn it over to electric. So you've got electric 750 watts EL1, and you've got EL2, which is 1850 watts of electric. Don't waste your gas if you're on a site, unless you're away and it's really cold and you're using mix 2 for the first 10-15 minutes. Then allow electric to continue to heat the motorhome and maintain the temperature. Because if you're on a site, you've paid your site fees after all, you'll not want to waste your gas. Then you've got your fan in the top right hand corner. So eco or high or boost. This is just a 12 volt assisted fan. So eco will use less 12 volt. High obviously uses more fan speed, so it's going to use a little bit more 12 volt. And boost uses full power on the fan, which is going to use the most out of the 12 volt battery. Sleep with it on eco because it's a lot quieter than sleeping with it on anything else. If you're going to sleep with the heating on in the winter, you've got a timer so you can time the heating to come on and off, just the once though. Clock in the middle, and then spanner. You can go all the way down to reset, and to reset the control panel, if you ever get a warning triangle in the middle, reset, preset, click again, and it will restart your control panel. And then to turn off, press and hold, and it'll say off, and it'll completely turn itself off. To lock the door on a night, all you need to do is lift the handle up, and that's locked. When it's in the red, knock it down to the green, and you'll be able to open the door. So in the kitchen, you've got 3 lit gas rings with built-in ignition there on the Smith hob. Allow it to go cold before you put the glass lid down, otherwise you could shatter the glass. Opening the taps, which have all got built-in micro switches. As long as you've got enough water on board, you get a pressurised flow of water. Don't open the taps if you haven't got any water on board, because you'll burn the pump out. And that's getting up the temperature there, so your hot water system is working as it should. Push the catches in and you'll be able to open the overhead lockers, and you've got some storage up there. Push the catches out and you'll be able to open the drawers, and you've got cutlery tray, storage, gas isolation valves for the boiler, the fridge and the hob. Any problems with gas, turn the bottle off to be safe. These are mainly for when the vehicle is annually habitation serviced. However, if you know what's leaking gas, if you turn it that way, that's isolated there on. Storage throughout. So to operate this type of fridge, which is a Dometic 3-way fridge, so your source selector is the left-hand dial. So if you were on a site or you were pre-chilling it at home, you would turn it on to mains, which is the picture of the plug. This will work off mains 230 volt and act as a household fridge. So the idea is, if you're going to pre-chill it beforehand, if you're lucky enough to keep this at home, cook it up a few days before so the leisure battery gets a good charge if it's been standing on the driveway or in a storage yard. Put the fridge on the day before, load it with your shopping because it'll be cool, and then leave it to cool overnight with the shopping in, and then when you're ready to drive, either from the site to the next site or from home to the first site and you've pre-chilled it, you can put on a battery. And battery is when the engine's running, it sends a 12 volt feed to the fridge and it will keep it at a steady temperature. It'll get no cooler, but it'll get no warmer, but it'll keep it at a steady temperature, and it will allow you to travel with the shopping and food in the fridge until you either go back to mains 230 volt, or if you're going wild camping, you go down to gas, which is here. This is your gas indicator valve, but you need to push the temperature valve in and the piezo ignition, and you want that orange band to go into the green. So may take a few goes if it's had its gas disconnected. So after a few attempts, because we've had to bring the gas through the lines, we've now got the fridge working. So you can see that the orange band's in the green, which means it's operating on gas, which you'd use if you were wild camping. Always when pre-chilling, have the temperature on full, but then as soon as you put your shopping in, turn it down, because sometimes on full it can freeze your food in the fridge. We've also got a freezer box, and then when not using the fridge,